So next topic is formal and informal organization of work. Formal and informal organization of work. Again, possible short note from this chapter. One short note from this chapter is for sure. Okay, that will come in part B of your paper. Like you know part A and part B, right? Part A, there will be question number 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in first question there will be 5 compulsory. Fifth also there will be 5 compulsory. So you have no choice with respect to this. You have no choice with respect to this. Then 3 questions here. 3 questions here. So out of 6 you need to attempt how many? 3. But you cannot attempt all the 3 from here. You cannot take all the 3 from here. You cannot take all the 3 from here. 1 from each you have to go with. So that means if you take this 2, you have to take 1 from here. Or if you take this 2, you have to take 1 from here. Like that. Okay. So this question from this chapter you can get from here. There will be a question. Okay. One question is for sure. Compulsory. 10 marker you will get. It can be social organization of work, or it can be formal and informal organization of work. But it's very simple only. There is nothing much. Now the organization of work can be either formal or informal. So when you say formal, what do you mean by that? Formal organization is based on rules that are written or documented. You know this. The execution is through formal position, which is designated authority. Like the bureaucracy, everything is example for this. It includes written contractual terms, explicit incentives, disincentives, fixed working condition, formal communication, formal training, firm boundaries of work, etc. So everything has to be codified, everything in the written form, the rules, everything, the terms and conditions of the employment. Okay. Now, informal organization of work is based on implicit understanding and expectation, which are written, not written in nature. So here nothing is written. It is based on some implicit understanding between people, mutual understanding. Okay. So instead of formal rules, socially derived rules are used here. It includes importance of experience, informal communication, informal incentives and disincentives, etc. The debate between formal and informal organization of work is understood at 2 levels. Firstly, at the macro level of society, whether in general work is formally or informally organized. Here a more diffuse connotation is taken. In traditional society it is informal, and in modern society it is formal. But we cannot completely say in modern society it is completely formal. There are many organizations, even though it is formal, within that organization some contractual employees, etc. will be. Even if you talk about PSUs, okay, even PSUs also there are contractual employment. Okay, contract jobs are there. Okay, so lower level jobs there may be in contract, like tea vendors, the cleaning jobs, etc. that can be informal. Apart from that, in the modern society we cannot completely understand this, but I have told you here this is a macro level view. So in traditional society mostly informal, in modern society maybe compared to traditional society more formal. Okay. Secondly, in the context of work being performed in production process, the informal and formal element are often intertwined. Okay, so firstly, this is formal. Formal organization quite often emerged with informal organization. So when a company A starts, it will be starting like an informal organization, but over a period of time it become a big company and it will become formal. Secondly, formal organization emerged from informal forms only. For example, emergence of corporate organization in medieval Europe, etc. So now some thinkers I have incorporated here, some definitions you will see here. But ultimately what you need to see is what is formal, the typical understanding, what is informal, the typical understanding of this. This is based on rules and regulations, everything written in nature. But this is like mostly between between people only that communication is there. That is why it is informal. There is no written or codified rules and regulation. Everything is between, the employee and employer. Okay, and socially derived rules are mostly you can see in informal type. So according to these thinkers, organizations are different from other social units like family, kinship, friends, etc. Okay, and organizations are social units which have specific objectives and goals to achieve. Organizations existed in one form or the other since time immemorial, from Harappan organization to modern business houses. Rise in division of labor has also been accompanied by consequent rise in types of organization. Political, economic, and other functions are now performed by distinctive organizations. Formal organization of work is the one in which the worker is governed by formal rules and regulations. Actually, I am repeating what all things we have discussed over here from this person's point of view. All these stories, it is not necessarily required. You may need this only. Formal organization of work is the one which the worker is governed by formal rules and regulations. For example, when we talk about IAS, IPS officers, okay, IAS, IPS, IFS, these belongs to All India Service Rules, right? So All India Service Rules, the most strict and toughest rules are there, you can see in All India Service. More formal, so it will be mostly in favor of the employee. Okay, so here rules and regulations may be defined by a contract between the employee and employer or by various legislations and rules of the government. A formal organization is rationally designed. It has explicit objectives, and for them there are explicitly defined means as well. One of the most prevalent formal organization is the bureaucracy, okay, which is based on rational organization of work, where workers work in the basis of legal rational basis. Formality is often required for legal standing. Formal organization of work is a feature of societies where rule of law prevails. So these all are common points. There is nothing sociological. You have to go through this. These are directly taken from Harlem-Bose, and these are directly there in Essential Sociology. So go through Essential Sociology. You will get exactly the same. Formal organization of work tries to balance the interest of the workers and employer. It helps in prevention of exploitation of workers by defining their duty, rights, and liabilities. Everything is clearly defined. It is a most common type of modern developed countries. Formal organization of work provides better control of work and also better accountability. Formal organization is also characterized by protective laws at workplace like Factories Act, all the Trade Union Organization, Minimum Wage Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, okay, Shops and Establishment Act. All these are not required. You just need up to this only. Protective laws at workplace. Maybe you can write this. Informal organization of work is the one in which workers are not governed by fixed rules and by direction, okay, but by the directions of employer. So here you can see rules are implied rules. So this is typically a feature of society where labor supply is so higher. Like in developing countries, you can see mostly informal because it is very difficult. Supply is so high, so employer have more choices. So and the employee have to work in whatever condition they are offered. There is no other choice. If you need to survive, you have to take up the employment, right? So the supply of employees are more in which countries? Developing countries. So you'll see mostly for informal, because the employer won't prefer to go formal. Why? If you go formal, you have to comply with all these rules, and once once somebody is part of your occupational structure, it will be very difficult to remove him, whatever he do. So that is the reason why, that is the main problem of formal setup. In case of informal setup, that issue is not there. Okay, so, and you will see when we discuss about economy, only 8% are formal in India, okay, and 92% are informal in India. The reason why 92% are informal is because even the bigger companies also now want to maintain their job force under this section only. Why? Because the rules are so strict. So this trend you can see, informalization of labor. Okay, why informalization of labor, especially after liberalization, globalization? This is because the labor laws are so strong. Actually, we are compromising this 92% for this 8%. Okay, strict labor laws and in the formal sector. Okay, so especially after these tribunals also, now everything is in the favor of employee, but now government of India is actually diluting, but we don't want to discuss all those things here. Understand what, because this is in paper 1, we don't want to discuss from Indian point of view here, but I've added here that 92% aspect. So they are prone to exploitation because they don't have much choice, right? Firstly, they are in informal. It is just like a contract. Anytime they will be thrown out of the job. So they are prone to exploitation because supply of labor is so high. Okay, developing countries have relatively larger population under informal organization. In India, more than 92% of the workforce is in informal. Informal workforce have low social security as terms of employment are uncertain and little benefits are given to the employee in case of exigencies. Now, according to Peter Blow in his this particular book, informal structure exists even in formal organizations also. Like I have told you before, even in the PSUs also some informal setup will be there. Similarly, small informal organization, when they grow big, they require formal rules and procedures for working, for better management of tasks. So both are actually intertwined. Even if you talk about a formal structure, there is an element of informality, and similarly within informal also, when they grow big, they need to be formal. Like they need a commander, okay? So everything has to be on command, then only that efficiency will be there. So it will automatically get formalized. Now different thinkers you can read here. Okay, not a big deal. Mayer and Ron. Formal rules and practices are often quite distant from practices actually adopted by the members of organizations. So what they're saying is there may be some set of rules and practices in the formal setup, but it is not necessary that the members will adopt exactly the same. Even within the formal rules also, there can be informality, informal meetings, informal aspects will be there. Formal rules are like myths which people profess to follow, but that have little relevance. Formal rules and practices are followed in ritualistic manner, and people do them. People do it just for the sake of doing and use them as a means of approving what they have actually done. Formal and informal organization of work also depends upon the task which is to be accomplished. Okay, so basically if you need to accomplish a task, it is always better to go for informal, because in case of informal, the easy decision making, if it is formal, it will be very difficult for decision making, approval and everything. So if you need to accomplish a particular task, it is always better to go for informal. That means within formal also, sometimes based on the task, you will see some informal setup emerging. Okay, tasks which are to be accomplished in a project or mission mode have greater scope of informal working, as the team has to improvise new strategies, make new plans, and have to work in a flexible manner. Informal organization working offers more flexibility over formal organization working. So you will see the advantages of informal here. By way of informal decision making and working, some individuals may make more power in the organization and may undermine its goals and principles. There's a disadvantage. Informal relation can also be exploited to promote vested interest. Okay, then corporate scams, insider trading, monopolistic practices, collusive bribery are some of the ill consequences of informal organization. So these are the negatives. So we talk about the positives here, these are the negatives. So whatever you feel like, it will be 10 marker. This is around 500 words here which is given. So hardly 150 words is what you need to pick from here. It's not a difficult one to understand. There is not much thinkers or anything here, not much sociological concept also. Just prepare 150 words or 200 words maximum, write the same thing.